Hi, I'm Ping Ho, a resident of Santa Monica. I've met a number of you before. We live about 600 meters north of the airport on the northeast side, and we get a fair amount of fumes. We have for many years. Actually, I have been lately smelling them a lot and then making little notes, and I can now tell when I get a big blast of fumes that within about a minute a jet is going to take off. I have noticed that pattern. So I can tell you in about how quickly the fumes travel, because the jet is turning when it's going to take off, and that's how, and I can tell how long it takes for that those fumes to travel. John Freund's actually found that the thrust of the jet emissions is so powerful that that's what sends it farther into the community than previously anticipated. So because of these fumes, back in 2002, and forgive me for those of you who already know the story, but just for the record, my son did a science fair project where we borrowed an ultrafine particle counter from a friend in public health, actually John Freund's wife, Andrea Ricco, and took measurements around the airport. And at that time, it was thought that it was not possible to measure emissions in the community. And we actually found that it was possible to do so, and it was actually quite simple, that this particle counter was actually picking up particles. So I feel like in the last 5 years, we've made a tremendous amount of progress. Now John has completed his study. The South Coast Air Quality Management District was gracious enough to add on the ultrafine particle measurements to their studies, and that their study actually validated John's observations in Los Angeles at Los Angeles International, in that they found high increases in ultrafine particle numbers related to activity with the jets. What we noticed was that jet idling and taxiing created the highest levels of ultrafine particle counts, and and emissions, definitely. What I find interesting, and I'm assuming that your odor samples, your grab samples, are going to show, if you're going to try to correlate them with your spikes in ultrafine particle counts, that there would be a correlation. I don't know if you can do that with the way that the samples were taken, but we found an immediate rise in the meter as soon as we smelled the odors. What I find fascinating is that fine particle matter, which is actually bigger than ultrafine particle matter, has been shown in research to be associated with cardiovascular disease, lung disease, restricted lung development in children, premature birth, increase in risk of death in general. And the American Lung Association associates this kind of exposure with something equivalent to secondhand smoke. And yet ultrafine particles, which are considered more dangerous, more invasive, have to be proven. There has to be a separate epidemiological study to assume that they have the same toxic qualities as the fine particle matter does. I also found it interesting that on the South Coast Air Quality Management website, they actually sponsor an air pollution and brain tumor foundation, which suggests to me that they assume that there's a connection between the two. And I think ultrafine particles may be the delivery mechanism, because ultrafine particles have a lot of surface area. They can spread toxicity throughout the body by releasing chemicals directly into the bloodstream, which then can travel to the brain and liver and other distant areas of the body. So there is biological plausibility that ultrafine particles cause cancer. And I understand from Dr. Michael Jarrett that biological plausibility is actually one of 4 ways in which a standard can be adopted. So I'm really hoping that scientists like you can advocate for this position, that there is biological plausibility, that when you look at all the evidence put together, it kind of makes sense that ultrafine particles, which are measurable and which do impact the community, are the cause of specific diseases. The community, Marty and I have talked about taking it into our own hands again and trying to initiate a study if there isn't money coming. I think the will of the community is here, and one of the things that's important about the coalition that's developed around this is the possibility of actually having, people taking odor samples themselves at home and recording it and finding a way, maybe not a hotline, but some other way of an efficient recording mechanism that could then facilitate somebody like Bill Piazza to do the work. I'm extremely encouraged by the number of people who came tonight who hadn't come to the last town hall meeting, because that shows that there are many, many more people who are now engaged and concerned with this problem. Finally, the question has come up, what can people do? I think research and development has been greatly curtailed with this current political administration, and writing letters to your legislators to encourage them to fund research and development in emissions regulation would be important. Europe has recently taken a stand to strengthen emissions standards against the will of the current administration, and so we should support that. And finally, we should elect a president who cares about ecological issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you go away, where is your son now?
My son is now at USC as a freshman.
Mm-hmm. You know what would be a dream for me? Is if we could get USC to cooperate and do a study and forget about the state funding, and see if we can find a mechanism in which we can create a partnership with USC and see if we can do the study ourselves and get the data now instead of waiting for more people to get cancer.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree. Thank you.
Norm Culla is in the back of the room there too. I want you to meet with Norm, and let's see if we can put something together. I've had enough of this. Time is of essence to the health and safety of my constituents, and frankly, I don't want to take it anymore either. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is this your bag, Miss? Miss, is this your bag?
I got her so excited she forgot her bag. Well, stay excited, because your energy is exactly the energy we need to get beyond where we are.
My name is Rhonda Lupka. I've been a resident in this area for over 20 years, and I was very moved to hear so many people come up with health concerns, either their own personal cancer or their pets. I have a very close friend who passed away last year who lived on Stoner, just east of the airport. And she recounted to me some of her concerns that she had acquired this disease because of her proximity to the airport, because of the fumes. She even mentioned, our sons are all friends together, that she had more than one experience where she thought that the planes, when they were landing, were doing some fuel dumping because her kid actually had gotten, you know, obvious stuff on him because of something being dumped out of a plane. And after hearing the testimony of some of the other people who came, I would like to ask that we seriously pursue an epidemiologic study in the area around the airport, doing a door-to-door head count, looking for any sort of a pattern. I do believe that is how Aaron Brockovich did it, if I remember the movie right. And I would also like to ask, in addition to that, that at the end of this meeting, that there is some sort of a action plan, you know, what the to-dos are going to be coming out of this meeting, that this isn't just a venting session, but actually leads to some concrete actions on the part of the people who are promoting this. And I really thank everybody who came, and I think this is a real serious issue.
Excuse me?
Hi, I'm Jim Plowden, and I wasn't going to speak tonight. I'm on